Whether you're aspiring to become a leader or you're in a new leadership role or you're an experienced leader, there are principles that we're going to teach that will elevate your leadership and your influence. So position yourself to hear every lesson. Hello, I'm Mike Moore, and welcome to the How to Win podcast. These podcasts are based off 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. It says, "Now thanks be unto God, who always causes us to triumph." Listen, I'm so glad to have you with us today. We're going to have a wonderful time learning today about leadership. And leadership, you're in my leadership edition. I'm going to begin a third part of a series that I began some episodes ago entitled The Leadership Mentality. A leadership mentality. And here's an introductory statement that I've made over and over because I want you to really get this down in your spirit. Leadership effectiveness or ineffectiveness is a reflection of the leader's mindset. Now, our thinking as leaders our thinking is very important. Proverbs 23:7 says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." As a leader thinks, so is he. The leadership mentality has three parts. Part one, we talked about foundation. Part two, we talked about concepts. And in this third and final part that we're going to begin today, we're going to talk about attitude. Attitude, the attitude of the leader. Now, Matthew chapter 6, and these podcasts are based off biblical principles. Matthew 6, verses 22 through 23 in the Contemporary English Version says, "Your eyes are like a window." Your eyes are like a window for your body. When your eyes are good, you have all the light you need. But when your eyes are bad, everything is dark. If the light inside of you is dark, you surely are in the dark. So we're talking about attitude. The way you look at things, your eyes will shape the course of your life, shape the course of your business, shape the course of your ministry. Stan Taller, in his book, The Power of Your Attitude, defines attitude this way. He says that attitude is the basic lens or frame through which you see yourself, the world, and others. The lens, the basic frame through which you see yourself. What kind of attitude do you have about yourself? How do you see the world? How do you see others? And you can have a positive attitude. You can have a negative attitude. You can have a neutral attitude. And your attitude, the way you see things, will be your world. The way you see things will be your world. Now, this part, 3 parts on a leadership mentality. The 3 parts. We're in the third part, attitude, the final part. But I'm dividing this part, attitude, into 2 sections. Now, section 2, we're going to talk about kindness. And most people, when they think about kindness, they think an attitude. But this first session that we're going to begin today, this first section of attitude is an area that most people usually don't consider as an attitude. In this first section, we're going to talk about customer service. And when I put this lesson together, I didn't know what others thought about it. I just felt impressed of the Holy Spirit to begin to teach on customer service. And then I came across a quote by an author, Mac Anderson. And Mac Anderson said in his book, Love is a book that he authored. He said this: customer service is not a department, it's an attitude. Wow. Customer service is not a department, he says. It's an attitude. And that's my feelings precisely. Customer service is an attitude, and as an attitude, it encompasses the mindset, it encompasses the approach, and it encompasses behaviors of individuals and teams who are responsible for interacting with customers or interacting with the public. Customer service is an attitude. I bet you never thought about it that way. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And I have a title in this first section that I'm calling Leaders Who Get It. Leaders who get it. And the underlying theme is going to be on customer service. Leaders who get it. Come on, say that. Leaders who get it. Now, leaders get it when they understand the connection between how customers are treated or customers perceive they're treated and success. There is a connection between how we treat customers and how customers perceive that they're being treated and success. And success is comprehensive. It would include profit, revenue. It would include growth is a component of success. It would include partnership is a component of success, but it would also include loyalty. And as a leader, it is important how you see customers. It's important how your organization, how your team, how your workers see customers. We're talking about customer service, leaders who get it. And I want to ask you a question. You're a leader. Do you get it? Do you get it? In other words, do you understand the connection between how customers, and if you're in leadership, you have customers, whether you lead a nonprofit or lead a for-profit organization, you have customers. Every leader has customers. How do you view them? Do you get it? Do you get the importance of customer service? And what is your proof that you get it? How much do you know about customer service? How much training do you have in the area with your team or with your workers or your volunteers as it relates to customer service? Do you get it? So in lesson 1, I want to talk about the laws of business. There are 4 laws of business success. Now if you're a business person, business owner, entrepreneur, you may know that there are other laws, but there are 4 primary laws of business. Law number 1 is the law of purpose. The law of purpose. And the law of purpose states the goal of a business is to create and keep a customer. The goal of a business is to create and keep a customer. Now, listen carefully at how I unpack this. The function of a business is not to make money. It's not to make money. You need money, you want to make money, but the function of a business is not to make money. The function of the purpose of the business is to create and keep a customer. To create and keep a customer. Now listen at this. If we do a good job focusing on our customers, then they will reciprocate. And when they reciprocate with loyalty. And loyalty will lead more often than not to profit. In other words, profit will follow. But we're going to focus on creating and keeping a customer. And we believe, based on this law of purpose, that when we focus on creating and keeping a customer, then our customers will reciprocate with loyalty. And usually, loyalty from a customer leads to profit. We're talking about the laws of business. And the first law is the law of purpose. There are 4 major laws that we're looking at in this episode. And the second law is the law of the customer. We talked about the law of purpose. Now we're talking about, secondly, the law of the customer. The law of the customer states that the customer acts to satisfy his or her interests by seeking the most and very best at the lowest possible price. I'll give that to you again. That's really good. And every leader needs to understand the customer. The law of the customer states that the customer acts to satisfy his or her interests. That's what the customer is thinking primarily about. His his or her interests. So the law of the customer states that the customer acts to satisfy his or her interests by seeking the most. That's what the customer wants, the most, and the very best at the lowest possible price. That makes sense, doesn't it? The customer is operating in his or her self-interest. And you need to understand that as a leader, as a business person, you need to understand that. And maybe you're a minister. You say, well, I'm not a business person. Yeah, Jesus said, I must be about my Father's business. If it's going to grow, your church, your ministry is going to grow, then you're going to have to function to a degree as a business. And as it grows, you definitely going to have to understand these laws of business. The law of the customer states that the customer is acting in his or her self-interest and seeking the most and the very best at the lowest possible price. And when we say the customer wants the best and at the lowest possible price, not just the price in terms of money, but customer wants the lowest possible price in terms of inconvenience, in terms of discomfort, in terms of frustration. Customers don't want a lot of frustration. They don't want frustration. They don't want inconvenience. They don't want discomfort. We're talking about the laws of business. And then the third law, we're just looking at four major laws of business. The third law is the law of loyalty. The law of loyalty. The law of loyalty states the customer will choose to do business with any individual or entity over the long haul, regardless of location, regardless of price, regardless of competition, if that individual or business provides consistent and predictable experiences of both quality and kindness. I'm going to say that again, and then I'm going to slow down because I want you to understand what it takes for customers to be loyal. Because we believe that loyalty will lead to success, profit, revenue, growth, increase. The law of loyalty states the customer will choose to do business with any individual or entity. I stop right there. The customer, the law of loyalty states the customer will choose. See, think about it. The customer is in the driver's seat. The customer can choose to do business with us. The customer can choose to do business with someone else, whether it's for-profit, non-profit organizations. So this law of loyalty states that the customer will choose to do business with any individual or entity over the long haul. And that's what you want. You want your customer to do business with you. You want your people to do business with you over the long haul, not an event, over the long haul, and they will choose to do business with you, whether you're an individual or entity, over the long haul, regardless, talking about loyalty now, regardless of location. I believe customers will travel long distances. They'll travel long distances. For 40 some years, I pastored a church, and our church grew over time. And we had members that drove to church over long distances. many, many miles, hours. We had members who passed hundreds of churches and many churches to get to our church, because the law of loyalty states that the customer will choose to do business with any individual or entity over the long haul, regardless of location, price. In fact, customers will pay even more. You know, there's a grocery store, and I won't call the name because I'm not really trying to sell the grocery store, but it charges a little bit more than other grocery stores. But I'll go to that grocery store even though I know that I'm going to pay a little bit more money, because the law of loyalty states that the customer will choose to do business with any individual or entity over the long haul, regardless of location, regardless of price, regardless of competition, because there are many different grocery stores. Now here's the qualifier. Here's what calls customers to be loyal. If that individual or business provides consistent and predictable experiences. Consistent, predictable experiences. That grocery store provides consistent and predictable experiences. There's a fast food restaurant that I enjoy going to. They provide consistent and predictable experiences. So the law of loyalty states that the customer will choose to do business with any individual or entity over the long haul, regardless of location, price, or competition, if that individual or business provides consistent and predictable, watch this now, experiences of quality and kindness. Quality has to do with the product. Kindness has to do with the service. So people will do business with you, whether you're for-profit, nonprofit, whether you're a church, ministry, secular business. People will do business with you if they can experience consistent and predictable circumstances and experiences there of quality, which has to do with the product. If you're providing quality products and kindness, how your workers, how your volunteers are serving the people, then people will be loyal to you and to your business, to your organization. That's a powerful law. And then the final law that we'll look at today in this episode is the law of kindness. And we just alluded to that a moment ago in the law of loyalty, the law of kindness. Very simple law. You'll get it. Won't need much explanation. But the law of kindness states that people want to do business with those who are nice to them and responsive to their needs. Now, that's very simple, isn't it? People want, this is the law of kindness, people wants to do business with people, those who are nice to them, those who are responsive to their needs. Think about it. Who wants to do business with people, organizations, churches, ministries who have mean people? Who wants to be connected to folk who are mean to them, rude to them, indifferent? People like doing business with people who are kind to them. I had a handyman that came by my house recently, hired him to come by. And the thing that impressed me, not only was he good at what he did, but his demeanor. He was kind. He was responsive to what I needed. This is simple stuff, but Hosea 4:6 says that God said, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Some organizations, some churches, some Christian businesses, God can't fully bless them the way he wants to because they're walking and operating in ignorance. You see, you have to understand, if you're in business, the laws that govern business. And you have to align yourself, teach your team, your workers, your employees, these principles, and it's very simple stuff. In fact, Jesus said something else, and I'll close with this. In Luke 16:8, he says, the children of this world in their generation are wiser than the children of light. That is not a blessing. He said that people in the world operate in principles in a way that produce success that his own people, his own entities, the church, fail to realize, understand, and embrace. Listen, we're talking about attitude. We're dealing with section 1, and in section 1, we're talking about customer service, leaders who get it. We covered the laws of business today. We talked about the law of purpose. We talked about the law of the customer. We talked about the law of loyalty. And then we talked about the law of kindness. Listen, I want you to go back. You can go on YouTube, go to Mike Moore Ministries, and I want you to meditate on these laws of business. Align yourself with them, and I believe God is going to cause you and your team and your organization to be very, very, very successful. We're not through. This is just lesson 1. It's going to be great. We're talking about leaders who get it, customer service. Now, listen, subscribe to my channel. Listen, I want you to subscribe to Mike Moore Ministries and get the word out about these podcasts. Listen, thank you for spending this time with us. We're on a journey, and I thank you for taking this journey with me. I pray you have a successful rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you next time.